Thank you so much for making time for this episode of The Trading Bell. Today, we are at the Absa Bank headquarters right here on Wayaki Way. I want to speak to Chief Executive Officer Jeremy Awori, find out a little bit about what is Absa doing in order to stay resilient during this COVID period. And of course, let's get a little bit more information from him about what the financial sector is doing right now and his thoughts on that and much more. But first, do take a look at his profile. Jeremy Awori is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Absa Bank Kenya PLC, part of Absa Group Limited, a position he assumed in February 2013. Prior to joining this organization, he held various positions within Standard Chartered Bank, among them CEO of Standard Chartered Tanzania from 2008 to 2012, Regional Sales and Performance Director at SCB Middle East, South Asia and Africa from 2005 to 2008, and Head of Consumer Banking in SCB UAE from 2003 to 2005. He also served in Standard Chartered as the Executive Director and Head of Consumer Banking for East Africa. In addition, Jeremy has lived and worked in the UK, North America and Asia. He completed his master's degree in Business Administration from McGill University, Montreal, Canada, and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Pharmacy from Manchester University in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So first of all, we know that the rebranding to Absa, it culminated sometime in February, so it's been about 4 or 5 months since then. But then COVID, of course, came upon us, and it's been in Kenya now for a long period of time. So what really was the effect of that on the entire rebranding exercise for you?
Yeah, I mean, the rebranding process is the culmination of about 2 years, 2.5 years of work. And it was very exciting, and we were ushering in a new chapter. And I must thank our customers, our colleagues, our suppliers, Kenyans as a whole, for welcoming in the Absa brand. I mean, I think it came in, I think we shared the brand promise, which is bringing possibilities to life. And I think in a way, what the COVID scenario has done is really show that you cannot be fixated on a particular strategy or direction. We had a series of plans that were in place, and I think they were very well-meaning, but the scenario changed. And what I was excited to be the leader of an organization was to adapt to that scenario. And our core brand promise has not changed. We are bringing possibilities to life, and I think what we did is we just pivoted a little bit. We have our core values. We're dedicated to customers. We want to see customers through this crisis because we care about their businesses, we care about Kenya, we care about Kenyans, we care about our employees, we care about our suppliers. So what we did with our brand is focus it on those elements rather than just big advertising campaigns. We looked more at how do we support customers through this, how do we support the people that are fighting this battle for us, our frontline healthcare workers. How do we keep our colleagues safe? Those kind of questions. Those who are affected by COVID, how do we support them? Psychosocial support, counseling, family support, etc. So what I am happy to report is that the brand has been well received. We've got exciting plans for the future. We're still investing in this business, and we'll do what's appropriate for the economic situation, given our commitment, which is a long-term commitment to Kenya.
Absolutely. You mentioned a bit of the financial aspect as well. So Absa Bank Kenya reported a normalized 8.5 billion shilling profit after tax for the period ending December 2019. So, what's your take on the financial scenario now given COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we finished 2019 on a high as a bank, and I think as an industry we did reasonably well. And then we had a very strong first quarter. I've got to say, as a bank, we saw increasing volumes, whether that's loan sales, deposits, customer growth. We saw very positive indicators across the board: customer satisfaction, employee engagement. And then obviously COVID came in, which necessitated a completely different approach to business. So the focus of since the end of the quarter was more around how do we manage our bank in this economic environment?
Yes.
And I think one of the things you saw, we were, I think, the first bank to do loan repayment holidays. Yeah, we were the first bank to start restructuring, and then I guess we're starting to see others following. So just to give you an example, we've helped over 53,000 customers with loan repayment holidays. And that is so powerful because it basically allows them that cash flow that they would have been using to repay their loan, to pay their workers through this, yeah, to re-engineer their business, maybe to go online, to work remotely, to keep going and to keep Kenya moving. That 53,000 customers is worth equivalent of 55 billion Kenya shillings of restructuring. So, and just to put it in context, His Excellency announced the 54 billion amount of money to stimulate the campaign. And I think we are very much behind him, trying to play our part as Absa to support SMEs, yeah, and to grow those SMEs. So what we're seeing is that's what we've been focusing in on, and also just using the skills and the experience we have from all over the world to try and keep this economy moving, try and support businesses with business continuity. So from a financial perspective, obviously we're in a closed period because we're about to reach the half-year reporting period. But I think the thing that I would say is banks are businesses also. You know, in many times when I talk to people forget that banks are businesses in and of themselves. We take deposits and we lend deposits. And I think it's an inevitable fact that businesses are suffering. I think we look around, we see due to the lockdown which had to be taken to manage COVID, certain businesses could not operate the way they were. We saw people being furloughed, we saw people being laid off. And that inevitably was going to mean for some customers they couldn't pay back their loans.
Yes.
So I think we can expect to see a rise in non-performing loans. We hope that there's a bounce back of the economy when we settle into this COVID situation, but right now things are a little bit uncertain. Business volumes as a whole have reduced because people are not going into bank branches as much, which is affecting, I think, revenues of banks. So you're seeing different measures being taken. Cost containment measures are a big part of our focus, going digital to support customers to be safe. And the great thing about them being safe is it's also convenient. People are now realizing, actually, I can do my banking from home. I don't have to go to the branch.
Yes.
Yeah? So we're investing very heavily in technology, cash deposit machines, enhancing the functionality on our internet banking, enhancing our mobile banking to make it easier for customers. And I think that will manifest in the financials as we move forward.
So you mentioned digital, and of course we've seen that a latest banking sector report say that digital developments have maintained that resilience of banks at this time. So what particular kind of developments have you had to, take account of in the digital space so that Absa is ahead of the curve, for instance?
I mean, the first thing is we were very, very committed to becoming what we call a digital customer-obsessed bank. That was our part of our core pillars of our strategy anyway. So I think we look at this as an exciting opportunity to accelerate that. And why is it exciting? It's great because it gives customer convenience. It reduces the cost of delivering the service because it's automated, yeah. And it's cheaper. It should be cheaper for customers over time. So it's a triple tick, if you like. So what we've done is we've accelerated our investments in that space. We had done a lot in the transition to the Absa brand. So you'll have seen new functionalities coming in. As a bank, what we've also done is we've also waived the transactions to move money from M-Pesa to to your bank account or your bank account to M-Pesa as part of assisting customers. So that's also been done. We're making significant investments in our cash deposit machines so that basically people can deposit their cash 24 hours a day without any human interaction. So again, it's safer, it's healthier, and it's more convenient. We're investing in our agency banking proposition because we want to have more outlets that are closer to customers so that they don't have to travel distances. Because I think the reality is with the COVID scenario, you've seen other banks have cases of COVID,
yes,
yeah, and have to close.
Yeah.
We're very proud as a bank. We developed very robust business continuity plans, and to date we have closed no branch, yeah, through this whole period, and we're hoping we can maintain that, because it's important we service our customers. So we're very much customer focused, and we believe we will continue actually investing even more in digital, in particular to support SMEs, because we need SMEs to thrive, because they create jobs, they create value, and they support us day to day.
So we've seen that SMEs, like you just mentioned, they are core for our economy. Majority of our business space is SMEs. And they've always had this tussle when it comes to credit access from traditional banking institutions. So we've seen the government talk about the credit guarantee scheme as well and coming up with that. So what are your thoughts on that particular angle? Yeah,
I think, a number of institutions or what I would call larger institutions need to play their role. So I'll come to the credit guarantee in a minute. So I think if we look at Absa, we're saying, look, we have suppliers who are SMEs. How do we support them first and foremost? With business. It's not about credit. It's about just giving them more business. So we're very purposeful in giving business to SMEs rather than just the big corporates who may be cheaper. So in a way, one of the things we do is we're willing to spend a bit more on acquiring goods and services to keep the SMEs open. It's not just about how do I get the cheapest price for those products. Second, we're paying our SMEs, those who are have invoices with us less than $1 million, within 7 days. That is easing their cash flow, so they don't have to go and borrow to finance their businesses. Third, we're giving them LPO financing. So we'll give you a contract, or you come with a contract, we'll give you the money up front. That again helps to keep your business moving. And we do that up to 50 million shillings, and even as little as 100,000 shillings. So we're trying to give them that support. The other thing is we're still very much open for business. So we're still lending. In fact, our momentum on business lending is still moving quite well. Because we feel now we must support them. The industry, coordinated through the KBA chair, Joshua Oigara, is working with the central bank, with the governor, with the CS in Treasury to try and come up with this credit guarantee scheme. They're working through the final modalities. I think it will definitely assist to risk share, and they'll announce that in due course. But I think it's a bit and above that. I think that's an element, but we need to find other partners that we can share the risk with, because we have to find a way to keep the cash flows moving for SMEs, because it's inevitable. Some may not make it through. And the question is how do you back the ones who are going to make it through going forward?
You also mentioned your branches. So of course we've seen a lot of work from home scenarios. You're moving more towards majority of your staff being able to do that. So with financial institutions, I believe the cybersecurity aspect also comes into sharp focus, because as much as you have someone working from home, you want to secure the channels. So how has that been for your end?
Yeah, for us, we treat cybersecurity extremely seriously. We have dedicated teams locally, regionally. We work with the best partners globally as well on this. And whilst we do that, we've seen, I think it's a fact, that there's been an additional increase in cyber attempts for fraud. Now, we have, touch wood, quite strong mechanisms to monitor, to see attempts, and we do our level best through significant investments to protect customers. We also educate customers so that they're not scammed through this, because there's a lot of social engineering where customers could be tricked into releasing information, just because they're not aware. So we do a lot of that education. We've got very strong cybersecurity systems in place to protect them. But with cybersecurity, there's a big part of just the human part, just people not being aware, not realizing they're being taken advantage of. And I'll just say, if people are more aware, more careful, they can minimize on that front.
So as a leader, what has it been like, incorporating all of these day-to-day practices of staying safe during this corona period? We're always told, wear your mask, sanitize, wash your hands constantly. But what has it been like incorporating that into your life, even as you go about making sure that Absa is thriving and doing its best?
Yeah. There's two aspects to it. There's me managing the Absa business. And then I've also been honored to be able to sit on the emergency COVID board that His Excellency the President asked us as private sector to lead. So I'm doing a lot of work on the COVID-19 front, interacting with a lot of government officials, and doing a lot of work fundraising, and then also giving out either food donations or PPEs along with other board members. And I think all of this has affected all of our lives. I mean, in some senses, there are positives. We can work from home. We don't have to wear our suits when we're going to work. We don't have to drive to work.
Sit in traffic.
We don't have to sit in traffic. But what I've personally found is I've spent a lot of my time, typically either during the day or outside of hours, working with colleagues around educating the public, raising funds, to fight this scourge. Being the chair of the COVID-19 committee, my job is to try and rally the private sector to support us with money, and we've raised 2.8 billion Kenya shillings. We're now very quickly spending that money to protect healthcare workers. You'll have seen we've been going out and giving out PPEs. We put an order of 280 million for PPEs, for the hospitals across the country, because we want to protect our frontline healthcare workers.
Yes.
And then internally, also what we've been doing is really spending a lot of time with colleagues, reassuring them, looking at the protocols. How do we disinfect our premises? How do we fumigate our premises? What are the things they're worried about? Are they worried about their jobs? They see people being laid off left and right. They are just addressing their concerns. We have very honest conversations in the bank. So for me, it's more around reassuring. But I also see a level of people treating COVID carelessly. Yeah. And I don't think we should treat COVID carelessly. I think we should understand it is very real. It can impact you. More and more, we're seeing the numbers going up. People will start seeing more and more cases of people they know who actually have COVID. And I'm starting to see people waking up. So it's more that one of wear your mask, practice social distance, regularly disinfect your hands, wash your hands. Yeah. Don't go out if you don't need to go out. Don't meet in groups. And the one thing that I find is people have this false sense of security. They're safe with their relatives. They're safe with their friends. They're safe with their colleagues. There's no such thing like that, because community infection is real. So we each have to take our personal responsibility to protect ourselves, but to protect each other. So sometimes it's difficult. People say, why are you making me wear a mask? I'm like, you're doing it to protect your loved ones. So what I can say personally, I feel extremely blessed to be able to play a small part. When I go out into the community and we're giving out food packages or we're giving out PPEs, there are real heroes out there. I mean, they're incredible what people are doing. People they're raising money, they're helping those less fortunate. And it personally really motivates me. That's the purpose of why we're here as human beings, also to make a difference when we can, no matter how small. So I find that very humbling and very rewarding in my own way.
Absolutely. And I think it's also this aspect of fatigue at some point, because you've been doing this for months, where you're constantly washing, you're constantly sanitizing, you're keeping your mask on, and then at some point you become lax, you become relaxed. But it's ironic, because now is when our numbers are going up. So like you said, it's very important. But finally, as we wrap up, what would be your word to shareholders who are watching right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said earlier, banks are businesses also. And I think the difference right now for banks, like when we were in the financial crisis, being well capitalized and being liquid is essential. And I think shareholders have to remember that we're in a long-term business, and we need to make decisions that are good for us in the long term. To give you an example, as a bank, our core shareholder, Absa Group, they actually did not take 1.225 billion shillings of their dividend. They left it back in the business. And why is that? We were already well capitalized, but we want to make sure we're even more capitalized, because we don't know what is going to happen with COVID, in all honesty. We can hope, we can pray. You're seeing we're getting into a second bounce in some countries. We're seeing the numbers in Kenya pushing up. So as shareholders, I think it's a level of understanding that we are doing everything to protect them. Yeah. But we need to remember that there needs to be patience to make sure that the business comes out stronger in this. I wish to reassure them. We are an agile business. We are adapting to the times very, very fast. You've come to this office, you're not seeing many people here because we want to keep our employees safe. We want to make sure that people are working effectively. We're still investing in our business. We're optimistic about our business for the medium to long term. And we believe we're not changing our strategy. That's the thing. Our strategy was quite clear. Growth, transformation, and returns. If anything, what we've done is we've doubled up on transformation. We're doing things like, how do we work more effectively remotely? How do we adjust to the new norm? How do we look at our risk management frameworks and make sure they're appropriate for the environment? So I would say to shareholders, have confidence. Yeah, the bank is in great shape. Yeah, we're going through a storm. Let's not lose our minds through this or lose our head through this. I think it'll be a bumpy ride. I think not just for banks, but I think for many businesses. But we're well positioned, and we're so committed to Kenya. We're so committed to our brand promise of bringing possibilities to life, and you're going to see us bringing that truth there. To end, what I would say is I work with a lot of corporate leaders.
Yes.
And I think now corporate leaders have a responsibility to not just think about revenues, cost cutting, profits. I think we need to think about how do we grow our businesses sustainably, and how do we become more purpose-led for the benefit of Kenya and Kenyans. Yeah, we can make short-term profit, but if it isn't good for Kenya and Kenyans, we're not going to be here in the long run. And we personally believe as a company that if the community thrives, we thrive. And that's the very basis of everything we do. So I know it's a little bit of a longer answer, but we're confident and we're optimistic. Just hang tight, you know, we're going to come through this.
Thank you so much for speaking to us today. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
There you go. A lot of information coming in from CEO Jeremy Awori about what the bank is doing during this COVID period, but also about what me and you, what we need to do during this time to stay safe, to make sure that we are keeping ourselves protected. It is our responsibility after all. Thank you for watching this episode of The Trading Bell. We'll catch you next time, but you can stay up to date with us via our social media handles. They're appearing right there on your screen. I'll see you next time. My name is Maalika Kazia.